This is the Ask Faleskini podcast, where the modern economy is discussed from a skeptic's perspective. Mr. Faleskini helps you distinguish what is sustainable in our economy and what isn't. Not everything that glitters is gold, and not all mud is dirty. The podcaster Mr. Faleskini provides no-nonsense advice. He had it all, lost it all, went bankrupt multiple times, and is now attempting to come back from zero with sustainable growth. There are numerous coaches and preachers on the internet that preach about positive thinking and how life is all roses if you just care to see it that way. Well, Mr. Faleskini is definitely not one of them. We recommend you ask Faleskini to keep it real. He discusses the darker side of the current economic reality, the side that's more important for your personal and business finance. His first intention is to help you keep what you already have. Not to be a complete party pooper, Mr. Faleskini will also hint at the earning opportunities in the economy today. In order to please the almighty algorithm, please like, share, and subscribe. And now it's time to start taking notes. The mic goes to the podcaster, the one and only Mr. Faleskini.
Welcome to the Ask Faleskini podcast with a guest. I'm proud to present Andras Bozzai. Andras, please tell us more about yourself. What is your story?
Hey, Peter. Thank you for having me. So my story is, to put it, very shortly, I was born and raised in Hungary. Then I went to university in Hungary. Then I started working in tech and consulting because that was always my passion. And then I realized, maybe there's something else to life. And so I became a coach and a life coach and business coach. And I've been doing that for 3 years now. And that's who I am in a nutshell.
Amazing. Similar story to mine. So you were in tech and consulting. So what I would like to start with is, how would you differentiate between consulting and coaching business? What's the main difference? How it differs? What do clients get from consultant and what do they get from the coach?
I love the question, Peter. Thank you for making that distinction. The difference is, I think, the major one is in the energy of it. So in consulting, what you do is you go into the client's world to help them with your knowledge, with your expertise, with what you know, with your processing power, right? Like, think of the big companies like McKinsey, Boston Consulting Group and whatnot. They go there because they have specific industry knowledge and they have a framework to think through things. And they talk to the client and then they go away, they crunch the numbers, they do their PowerPoints, and then they come back with a presentation and with a suggestion. Whereas with coaching, the approach is much more personal, let's say, and much more focused on the individual and on how the individual maybe plays a role in creating the situations that they are in. So I would say coaching and consulting can be used for the same purposes, but they are very different tools.
Okay. So I guess that because you're now life coach and business coach, you enjoy coaching more. You mentioned that you can tackle the same problem with coaching or consulting. Would you agree that coaching, because it's much more tailored, can be much more efficient for majority of the clients? Would you agree that coaching is more efficient and that it delivers more lasting results?
I would say yes, in general, and but the root cause of that, what I see, is that when someone hires a consultant, they look for a solution, like the client is looking for a solution on the outside, right? Like the consultant will come up with an idea and that may or may not be implemented. And in the consulting world, a big hassle sometimes is that, you might come up with the perfect solution, but the client then doesn't implement it. And then, it's not worth anything. Whereas with the coaching, the whole approach is different. The coach only helps the client come up come up with their own conclusions, and it relies much more on the client to do the work. So I would say, yes, it's much more to the point, and only one session, like one 30-minute session, can change the direction of someone's life or someone's business.
Thank you. I hear that consultants, they search for solution outside, and coaches search for solution inside. I really like that insight that you've shared. And would you agree with my thesis that every business problem is just materialization of one of the stakeholders' personal problem? Would you agree with that?
I do. I usually don't like generalizations because 100% is a very hard number to hit. But I would say to you that I have several stories where, let's say, I was in consulting, and even though the solution was there, the logical steps were followed on how to get to a solution, but then some personal issue came up, and that's why the solution couldn't be implemented. Whereas with coaching, I have seen so many business owners that I work with that once they get over something in themselves, the business just starts to thrive. So yeah, I would agree in most cases.
You have also a specific combination of life and business coaching. That is why I implied that business problems are basically personal problems. Is it that you can help to settle life much easier and much more efficient if they own their own business? Or is life coaching easier for people that are employed somewhere and working for someone else?
I would say that the ultimate idea of coaching is to give people the most fulfilled life they can live, right? And everyone has their own issue with their life, why it's not as fulfilling as possible. And for some people, they can find the fulfillment within, company where they are employed, and maybe they just need to ask for a raise, or maybe they just need to be transferred to a different department or something like that. I would say that those who have their own businesses, they, at the end of the day, they do have bigger levers to pull in their own lives. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's easier for them to feel fulfilled.
Okay, you're mentioning fulfilling life. How would you define fulfilling life? What is fulfilling life for you? How do you present it to your clients?
Yeah. Well, the idea of the coaching word of fulfilling life is that you segment your life into 4, 5, 7, 8 different areas, like money, relationships, friendships, romantic relationship, your work, maybe your kids, and whatnot, and money. And if you are imbalanced in some of them, like, you rank order them 1 to 10, and if you are 2 on something, and if you're 10 in other things, that tends to mean that you are neglecting an area of your life and you are dissatisfied with that. I would say that based on my experience and of those that I have been coaching, people can differ significantly. Usually, people want to have enough money that they don't have to worry about money. So money is usually it taps out. The fulfillment taps out at wherever you live, whatever amount of money you need, it usually taps out at a certain amount after which it doesn't produce more happiness or more fulfillment. And even it doesn't matter how much money you make if you are doing something that is just not you don't feel that you're contributing to society, then people can be very unfulfilled. Doesn't matter how much money they make. And even if these first 2 are in order, some people very much crave more human connection, right? Because at the end of the day, when you look at all those 50, 60, 100-year-old studies of what makes people fulfilled and happy, it's usually human connection.
Okay. Would you agree that younger generation, like Generation Z, has much different priorities than Generation X and millennials?
Yes, I would agree. It remains to see what is the end result, like what happens when the current generation reaches 40, 50 years old. So how priorities will change then. But yes, for right now, I would definitely say that the younger the generation, the less they want to live to work, right? They want work to be a part of their lives and a part that is adding to their lives, not something that they're sacrificing their lives for.
Okay. Another hot topic right now on YouTube is what problems we can solve on our own watching YouTube, like the interview that we are having right now. When do we have to go for a book, or when do we have to attend a workshop? When should we attend retreats? And when is the right time or the only possibility to hire a coach? What's your take on that?
Thank you for mentioning that topic. Well, my very quick take is that everyone should do things in that order that you lay them out. It usually represents the level of investment both in time and money. And if a book or like a 10-minute video solves your issue, then great. Don't overcomplicate it. But what I have found with most of my clients and in my personal life is that sometimes the books are so generic and so miss context for the person's life that they're just not helpful. So after a while, all that knowledge becomes just clutter in your mind, and that's why I think when it comes back to let's say a consultant or a coach, the difference between the two, I could make the same distinction between an expert in a given area, like a relationship expert, and a relationship coach. When it comes to an expert, it's much more about this is what the data shows, this is what the science shows. But when it comes to coaching, it's much more about, okay, that's all great, but how does it appear in your life, and what would you like, let's say, your relationship to look like? So I would say when someone feels really stuck for years, that's when a coach can come really handy and can speed up the process significantly.
Okay. Another thing that I ask all the coaches is the most difficult decision they have to make in their life. And that is it more important for coach to be a cheerleader for their client, or is it more important to be accountability partner for their client? If you could only choose one, which one would you choose?
Oh man, if I could only choose one. You know what? Maybe this is not what most coaches say, I don't know. If I could only choose one, I would go with cheerleading, because people already have that nagging voice inside their head, right? The accountability, the I didn't do what I should have done voice, and but the cheerleading voice, that's usually not, that's lacking in almost every person's life. So if I could only choose one, that would be my take.
Okay. Before we conclude, I would like to ask you to share an insight, maybe trick of the trade for our listeners. What would you give them, or what would be the lesson for today's podcast? What would you like our listeners to take from this podcast?
If I may, I might give them some homework, which is to, because, we don't have another 30 minutes to discuss this, but there's this book called The Ultimate Coach by Amy Hardison. It's a concentrated version and a regular version. I would start with the concentrated version. I would just say everyone should read this book. The idea is, to put it quickly, is that everything that happens in your life is somehow connected to who you are and how you see the world, and how your unconscious and subconscious can influence how you react to things, and that will influence the results in your life. That would be the biggest lesson, how important that is, to always have this introspection that, oh wait, life is not just happening to me, I am making it happen even when I don't like the results.
Andras, where can our listeners reach you? Where's the best place to look for your content?
Thank you for asking that. That's Instagram. If you just search my name, that will be great. But what I like to do is always give before I get, right? And what I was thinking is, by the time that this podcast goes live, it will be the end of October. So for the month of November, anyone who emails me or messages me on my email or my Instagram DMs, for the first 5 people, I would be happy to offer a 90-minute, no strings attached coaching conversation about this very concept that we didn't have time to go into. I think it will be life-changing. So the first 5 people who email me or DM me, they get that gift from me.
Thank you, Andras. Thank you for being my guest tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Faleskini, for this outstanding podcast. And thank you for listening to the Ask Faleskini podcast until the end. Mr. Faleskini would love to hear your feedback in the comments. And don't forget, if you want to know, ask Faleskini or listen to the Ask Faleskini podcast. In order to please the almighty algorithm, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.